Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Yohanan chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. If I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Plenty Good Room.
The Oracles of the UCI, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Lithonia, Georgia. First of all, I want to apologize, family, that I am behind today. But praise Yah, I went on a little country trip this morning, but I went to go get a sister who has been, very, very diligent in her works, but was not able to get here and has not been able to get here the whole time we've been in this place. So I decided to take a trip this morning to go get her. I learned to stay off I-75 is what I learned. I don't know how I forgot that I found the devil this morning and he was on I-75. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But I didn't see him again because I went streetway coming back. All right. So we're going to begin today's sermon in Leviticus 13. Today's sermon is entitled The Leprosy of Israel. We're going to deal with a few things. And before we get into those subject matters, it is important that we understand that this is not a stand against any group of people or anything of that nature. What we have to deal with is anytime something is opposite of its design, it is a problem. So when something turns opposite of the purpose in which it was designed, there is definitely an issue, and we're going to have to deal with that. Now, this first one, Leviticus 13, it is a little long read, but it is important that we get through this. And this might be the first time that we've done this. You might want to pay attention because I might have trivia questions next week for this one. Leviticus 13, and let's start this at verse 1.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in the skin of his flesh a rising, a scab, or bright spot, and it be in the skin of his flesh like the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest. And the priest shall look on the plague in the skin of the flesh, and when the hair in the plague is turned white, and the plague in sight be deeper than the skin of his flesh, it is a plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean. If the bright spot be white in the skin of his flesh, and in sight be not deeper than the skin, and the hair thereof be not turned white, then the priest shall shut up him that has the plague 7 days. And the priest shall look on him the 7th day, and behold, if the plague of his sight be at a stay, and the plague spread not in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on him again the 7th day, and behold, if the plague be somewhat dark, and the plague spread not in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is but a scab, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean.
All right, now you're seeing another aspect of the whole statement. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So until this individual is pronounced clean, they cannot be amongst the congregation. They cannot be amongst people like that. So understand where they get this term from. You're going to definitely understand that by the time we done with this chapter here. You're not going to have any more questions about cleanliness is next to godliness, because you can't find that term in the Bible. Yet, if you got a grandmama, you done heard this term, cleanliness is next to God. Now, nobody ever explained that term. Well, you're going to get it as we keep reading. Go ahead.
Verse 7. But if the scab spread much abroad in the skin, after that he has been seen of the priest for his cleansing, he shall be seen of the priest again. And if the priest see that, behold, the scab spreads in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprosy. When the plague of leprosy is in a man, then he shall be brought unto the priest. And the priest shall see him. And, behold, if the rising be white in the skin, and it have turned the hair white, and there be quick raw flesh in the rising, there is an old leprosy in the skin of his flesh. And the priest shall pronounce him unclean, and shall not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that has the plague from his head even to his foot, wheresoever the priest looks, then the priest shall consider, and behold, if the leprosy have covered all his flesh, he shall pronounce him clean that has the plague. It is all turned white, he is clean.
Now, this is interesting. Go ahead.
But when raw flesh appears in him, he shall be unclean. And the priest shall see the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. For the raw flesh is unclean. It is a leprosy. Or if the raw flesh turn again, and be changed unto white, he shall come unto the priest. And the priest shall see him, and behold, if the plague be turned into white, then the priest shall pronounce him clean that has the plague, he is clean. The flesh also, in which even the skin thereof was a boil and is healed, and in the place of the boil there be a white rising, or a bright spot, white and somewhat reddish, and it be showed to the priest, and if, when the priest sees it, behold, it be in sight lower than the skin, and the hair thereof be turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy broken out of the boil.
So you see there are a lot of intricate details that have to be observed when examining this situation. And until all of these criteria are met, this individual is set apart. Go ahead.
But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hairs therein, and if it be not lower than the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days.
You know, it's also one of those, it starts to make you think about how we have desired things, how people have given us the desire to have European traits. You have people dyeing their hair so they can have it blonde and white and all these other colors, and this would get you set apart. They would look at you and be like, "You can't come in here." Then they would trip out. You did it to yourself. I mean, you paid somebody to do it. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And if it spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague. But if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not, it is a burning boil, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or if there be any flesh, in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burns have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in sight deeper than the skin, it is a leprosy broken out in the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot, and it be no lower than the other skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look upon him the 7th day. And if it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is the plague of leprosy.
Even when we deal with our cleansing from something that has set us apart, we're still encouraged to have respect unto the Sabbath, because regardless as to when this unclean situation began, it's the 7th day that we then get restored. So you learn to have a certain amount of respect for the 7th day. Go ahead.
And if the bright spot stay in his place, and spread not in the skin, but it be somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut up him that has the plague of the skull 7 days. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall be not shaved, and the priest shall shut him that has the skull 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the skull, and behold, if the skull be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean.
He shall wash his clothes and be clean. So after the issue is taken care of, there still has to be a washing of your garment so that you can then be presented as clean. The children of Israel had a whole lot of things that they had to deal with before they could just show up at the temple. These are things that we don't really, consider. Go ahead.
But if the skull spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the skull be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the skull be in his sight at a stay, and that there is black hair grown up therein, the skull is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots, then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spots in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that grows in the skin. He is clean. And the man whose hair is fallen off his head, he is bald, yet is he clean. And he that has his hair fallen off from the part of his head toward his face, he is forehead bald, yet is he clean.
Yahweh got to make he got to tell something, because, we'll take off. We found a bald dude. Hey, brother, you are unclean. Get out of here. Wait a minute, man. That had nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with that. My head kept getting bigger. I kept getting smaller. I know, because it kept going back. But you can't block me from coming to the house of Elohim for that. Go ahead.
And if there be in the bald head or bald forehead a white reddish sore, it is a leprosy sprung up in his bald head or his bald forehead. Then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the rising of the sore be white reddish in his bald head or in his bald forehead, as the leprosy appears in the skin of the flesh, he is a leprous man, he is unclean. the priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean.
That's so everybody else knows his position. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, tore, and his head bare, so everybody can see it. He can't have no covering on. But he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. Understand something? Only when you get to face coverings, only Hebrew whores covered their face. So if somebody had their face covered, there's some issues going on right there. Go ahead.
All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment, whether it be in the warp or woof of linen or of woolen, whether in a skin or in anything made of skin, and if the plague be greenish or reddish in the garment or in the skin, either in the warp or in the woof or in anything of skin, it is a plague of leprosy, and shall be showed unto the priest.
So we have greenish or reddish. All right. So now we have other things other than what it was designed to be. Go ahead.
And the priest shall look upon the plague, and shut up it that has the plague 7 days. And he shall look on the plague on the 7th day. If the plague be spread in the garment, whether in the warp or in the woof, or in a skin, or in any work that is made of skin, the plague is a fretting leprosy, it is unclean. He shall therefore burn that garment, whether warp or woof, in woolen or in linen, or in anything of skin, wherein the plague is, for it is a fretting leprosy, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if the priest shall look, and, behold, the plague be not spread in the garment, either in the warp or in the woof, or in anything of skin, then the priest shall command that they wash the thing wherein the plague is, and he shall shut it up 7 days more. And the priest shall look on the plague, after that it is washed, and behold, if the plague have not changed his color, and the plague be not spread, it is unclean, you shall burn it in the fire. It is fret inward, whether it be bare within or without. And if the priest look, and, behold, the plague be somewhat dark after the washing of it, then he shall rend it out of the garment, or out of the skin, or out of the warp, or out of the woof.
All right, so then we see that this is a pretty serious situation whenever this comes upon the children of Israel. I want you to go to chapter 14 and jump to verse 33. Because there's a whole lot just coming up from chapter 14 leading up to verse 33. Now you're dealing with all of that is the establishment of whether or not this individual is unclean. All the rest that we are skipping right now, they still have to go through a set of things to restore them. Okay? But then Yahweh has the same situation of a house. Start at verse 33.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, When you be come into the land of Canaan, which I give to you for a possession, and I put the plague of leprosy in a house of the land of your possession, and he that owns the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, It seemeth to me there is as it were a plague in the house. Then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priests go into it to see the plague, that all that is in the house be not made unclean. And afterward the priest shall go in to see the house.
Now, so the people have to come out of the house. Otherwise, when he pronounced the house unclean, everybody in it unclean too. See, that there's some order and some things that we may not completely understand. Go ahead.
And he shall look on the plague, and behold, if the plague be in the walls of the house, with hollow strakes, greenish or reddish, which in the sight are lower than the wall.
Now, remember now, as we start getting into this, remember all of the things of Deuteronomy 28 and the curses that will come upon us. It says that he will hit us with blasting and mildew. Okay? Keep reading.
Then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again the 7th day, and shall look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them into an unclean place without the city.
Right. You take away the stones, this house being knocked down. Go ahead.
And he shall cause the house to be scraped within round about, and they shall pour out the dust that they scrape off without the city into an unclean place.
You know, the kind of construction we got today ain't going to abide that. You pull down that, you done pull down the house. Things ain't made that sturdy no more. You know, part of the things that just being in Lithonia, Lithos means rock. So you got Stone Mountain. These people built these houses before. It would go right up the street up there by the rock quarry. Set it on fire. Wait till it to start crackling. Hit it with an iron hammer. All the rock break up. Carry the rock back to their place. Put the rock and mortar between it, and they built them houses. You keep going down the street, you're going to find all them houses. Look at that wall that's right out. When you come down them steps and go to the right, look at that rock wall. If you keep going down the street, you're going to find houses that's built just like that. Them houses built for free. All them people own those houses. They went and got the rock themselves. These are things that we could do ourselves, but we rather get a mortgage.
Think, oh no, dude, I'm gonna have to carry a rock. My hand's gonna stink. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna smell like earth.
They own those houses. My great granddaddy built 2 of them. Get the rock, carry the rock back. Everybody in the family work, help build a house. Next thing, then other people in that family help build the next person a house. So on and so on and so on. If we did that, none of us would be sitting here, I gotta go to work tomorrow. I gotta go to work, man. I gotta pay. I don't pay this mortgage, man. I'm be in trouble. They didn't have that problem. They didn't feel like going to work in the morning. I said, you know what? I don't know what to do. Because I know one thing, they can't take this house. I built this with these rocks right here. Smell my hands. I built these. Go ahead.
And they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and he shall take other mortar and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after that he has taken away the stones, and after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look, and behold, if the plague be spread in the house, it is a fretting leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, the stones of it, and the timber thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city into an unclean place.
Not only just tearing the house down, but the instruments of the house have to be carried somewhere else. Go ahead.
Moreover, he that goes into the house all the while that it is shut up shall be unclean until the even. And he that lies in the house shall wash his clothes, and he that eats in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest shall come in and look upon it, and behold, the plague has not spread in the house, after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop.
So even after it's clean, it still need an offering. Go ahead.
And he shall kill one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. But he shall let go the living bird out of the city into the open fields, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean.
Look at that. And you let go the living bird. Now you have the whole situation of a scapegoat. How many of us have heard of a scapegoat? You don't really hear that term.
You know, they're trying to make me a skatebird, brother.
You know, you don't hear that. That ain't nothing you hear in conversation. Go ahead.
This is the law for all manner of plague of leprosy and scald, and for the leprosy of a garment and of a house,
Uh-huh.
and for a rising, and for a scab, and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy.
All right. So that, and I still skipped over some of it, but you need to get that part, because what happens is sometimes as we go into some other things, we don't really understand the seriousness of it. All right. Now let's go to Numbers chapter 12. And we have to put all of this in context regarding the time that they are living in, when everything is about the carnal washings and the cleansings before you can do this and before you can do that. This situation would completely alienate you from the children of Israel. So this is a pretty big deal. So we went through that for a reason. Now let's go to Numbers 12, and we're going to start at verse 1.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moshe because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Has Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moshe? Has he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it.
All right. The statement, you have to break this down, and you have to wonder which part angered Yahweh the heaviest. They spoke against Moshe because of the Ethiopian woman which she had married. And then they said, have Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moshe? So you don't have just one problem there. Normally there's a problem, and then after that, an issue is found, then we go on the next level. So they're on the next level at this point. Go ahead.
Now the man Moshe was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. And Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moshe and unto Miriam, to Aaron, and unto Miriam, Come out, you three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud, and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I Yahweh will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
Mm-hmm.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and in the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe?
There's certain things that Yahweh expect you to have the understanding of. How is it that you were not afraid to open your mouth? Go ahead.
And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And, behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous.
Leprous as white as snow. Now, there was more than her talking. She wasn't the only one talking. Aaron was talking too. See, he was led by his big sister. She went to talking, and he did too. This is why I tell people you want to have a job. The only reason I can even figure out why he didn't tear Aaron up too, he got a job to do. But he did wrong just like her. It should have been two lepers out there. Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto Moshe, Alas, my master, I beseech you, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned.
Mm-hmm. Now, Aaron said unto Moshe, okay, all right. Aaron said unto Moshe, he ain't talking to Yahweh. Go ahead.
Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, when he cometh out of his mother's womb.
Uh-huh.
And Moshe cried unto Yahweh,
Okay,
saying,
all right. So, Aaron know he done made himself stink before Yahweh. He ain't talk to Yahweh. He then went and had his conversation with Moshe so he can get Moshe to talk to Yahweh. See, sometimes you can read something about 12 times, but there's a little piece you ain't catch. No. He got sense enough. No, ain't me talking to Yahweh. Yahweh not gonna hear me. I tell you what, he heard me. He heard me when I was talking about Moshe. Oh, he heard me then. See, now for me to get Yahweh to hear me, I need to talk to the man who I was talking about. Okay. So now he has created an intercessor by his own doing. You got to go to Moshe. Now, you can't go to Yahweh now. You cut off that path. Now go to that same dude that you were talking about and plead unto him. And I'll hear him when he plead unto me. Go ahead.
Heal her now, O Elohim, I beseech you. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days?
Hey, Yahweh hard, but he fair. He hard, but he fair. He said, no. I know you, and that's your sister, and that's your brother, but you my servant. They don't just get to talk about you like that. Go ahead.
Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days.
I ain't gonna kill her. But I mean, she need to learn. Go ahead.
And after that, let her be received in again. And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days. And the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward the people removed from Hazeroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran.
All right. So we then begin to examine how Yahweh operates. All right. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 26. Second Chronicles chapter 26, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
Then all the people of Judea took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the room of his father Amaziah. He built Elath and restored it to Yehuda. After that the king slept with his fathers. 16 years old was Uzziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Yechaliah of Jerusalem. And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that his father Amaziah did.
Now, you see that having a good example then is of great value. He was able to see, even in his very young years, he was able to see how his father operated. Go ahead.
And he sought Elohim in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of Elohim. And as long as he sought Yahweh, Elohim made him to prosper.
Now, this is a certain a real deep statement right here. As long as he sought Yahweh, Elohim made him prosper. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes we can get happy in our prosperity and believe that we have caused that ourselves. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And he went forth and warred against the Philistines and brake down the wall of Gath and the wall of Yebneh and the wall of Ashdod, and built cities about Ashdod and among the Philistines. And Elohim helped him against the Philistines and against the Arabians that dwelt in Gerbal, and the Mehunims. And the Ammonites gave gifts to Uzziah, and his name spread abroad even to the entering in of Egypt, for he strengthened himself exceedingly.
His name spread abroad. Now he got some fame now. Go ahead.
Moreover, Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the corner gate, and at the valley gate, and at the turning of the wall, and fortified them. Also he built towers in the desert, and digged many wells, for he had much cattle, both in the low country and in the plains, husbandmen also, and vine dressers, in the mountains and in Carmel, for he loved husbandry. Moreover, Uzziah had an host of fighting men that went out to war by bands, according to the number of their account by the hand of Yael, the scribe, and Messiah, the ruler, under the hand of Hananiah, one of the king's captains. The whole number of the chief of the fathers of the mighty men of valor were 2,600, and under their hand was an army, 300,000 and 7,500, that made war with mighty power to help the king against the enemy. And Uzziah prepared for them throughout all the host shields and spears and helmets and habergeons and bows and slings to cast stones. And he made in Jerusalem engines invented by cunning men to be on the towers and upon the bulwarks, to shoot arrows and great stones withal. And his name spread far abroad, for he was marvelously helped till he was strong.
So he had a little fame, now he got big fame. All right, go ahead.
But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction.
Now here we go. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction. Go ahead.
For he transgressed against Yahweh his El, and went into the temple of Yahweh to burn incense upon the altar of incense.
Now, we understand that there are levels to the priesthood. There's levels to everything. And the people who have authorization to do certain things are the only ones who can do those things. You can't just come in and do something and say, you know what, I'm a child of Yah. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do sacrifice today. Y'all bring me some stuff and let's put it on the altar. Before you even touch the altar, you already had a problem because you touched one of the dishes that you shouldn't have touched to even hold the offering before you even touched the altar. Go ahead.
And Azariah the priest went in after him, and with him 80 priests of Yahweh that were valiant men. And they withstood Uzziah the king.
Now, how many people can do that? How many people are going to stand up and say, I know you the king. I know you the man in charge of this whole land, but I tell you what, you wrong right now. You ain't got no business with your hands on that. Go ahead.
And said unto him, it appertaineth not unto you, Uzziah, to burn incense unto Yahweh, but to the priests, the sons of Aaron.
Not only did they say, look, this ain't your job, it appertaineth not unto you. And I'm going to tell you who it is. It's the sons of Aaron. You ain't got no business touching that. Go ahead.
That are consecrated to burn incense.
They are consecrated to do this job. You have not been consecrated to do this job. You might be consecrated to do that job, but you ain't got nothing to do with this one. Go ahead.
Go out of the sanctuary, for you have trespassed. Neither shall it be for your honor from Yahweh your Elohim.
So the king has gotten checked because he is standing in a place where he ain't got no business standing. Go ahead.
Then Uzziah was angry and had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was angry with the priest,
check it out. He's angry with the priest. Keep going.
The leprosy even rose up in his forehead before the priest in the house of Yahweh from beside the incense altar.
While he angry with them, and he holding what they supposed to be holding, he's standing in their job and believe that he's right to be angry with the priest. It's amazing how we think we have right to be angry when we get checked. Go ahead.
And Azariah the chief priest and all the priests looked upon him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead. And they thrust him out from thence. Yea, himself hasted also to go out, because Yahweh had smitten him.
Now check it out. He was angry with them when they tried to have a conversation with him. But you see how Yahweh even motivated him to get out of Dodge? I tell you what, I know how to make you move faster. Won't I douse you with a little of this leprosy? Let's see how that look with your outfit. It goes good with. Is that a white scarf you got? Good. Now he's leaving. He wouldn't leave on his own. You see, sometimes we have to be helped. You might not like. I always tip. You might want to take care of some business before Yahweh has to help you. You might not like how he helps you. Go ahead.
And Uzziah the king was a leper unto the day of his death. And dwelt in a several house, being a leper.
See, we know about. I think the reason why we look at certain things, because we say, all right, Yahweh did hit Miriam. You know what I'm saying? He gave her the 7-day leprosy. You know what I'm saying? We like, okay, so he gave her some penicillin and she was healed. She got the 7-day leprosy. That's all it is. Now, hold on, we got to go a little deeper now. Everybody just don't come back out of that. Go ahead.
For he was cut off from the house of Yahweh, and Jotham, his son, was over the king's house, judging the people of the land.
Check this out. Check this out. Because he was made a perpetual leper, he could never come in the house again. So what he did was he was disrespectful and went into the house, touched some stuff he shouldn't have touched. Now he can never come in the house again. And instead of Yahweh saying you can never come in the house again, he just gave him leprosy. And everybody know it. You can't come in here. Go ahead.
Now the rest of the acts of Uzziah, first and last, did Esaias the prophet, the son of Amoz, write. So Uzziah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the field of the burial which belonged to the kings. For they said, he's a leper. And Jotham his son reigned in his stead.
All right. Now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5. But you see how this process came about. He kept going higher and higher and doing greater and greater things, so much that he did not respect the order. It wasn't like he was this individual who hadn't done nothing and he came in and was disrespectful. No, he had done everything. He had accomplished all these great things. So much, in fact, that he didn't believe any other rules applied to him. Now he can't step up in the house at all. And that was self-inflicted. Go ahead, bro.
You got to look at it. Isn't that the same thing at the point when Miriam opened her mouth? It's because they had been with Moshe doing all these things. Now she at a level that she thinks she equal with him.
It is exactly, the difference is this guy put his hands on something, she put her mouth on something. End up talking, running out. Are not we all blessed? Are not we all holy? What did the king do? He made himself equal, saying, I'm just as good as one of these priests. No, you ain't. You may have ultimate power over there, but not when we open these doors. And Yahweh showed you how to respect the branches of his government. The highest man in the land is now banned from a place in the land that he's in control of. And let me tell you something. You can't get no deeper than that. You go home and you say, yeah, I'm the king of this castle. Your woman say, yeah, but you can't come in this room. What? Wait a minute. There ain't no room in this house. I can't go in. You can't go in this one. You can't go in this one. Well, hold on. There's something wrong with your kingship. If you got a room you can't go in at all, and it's your castle, something done happened now. Something done happened now that ain't quite right. 2 Kings chapter 5, and let's start at verse 15.
And he returned to the man of Elohim, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no El in all the earth, but in Israel. Now therefore, I pray you, take a blessing of your servant.
Now, there's a man who have now been healed of his leprosy. Okay, go ahead.
But he said, As Yahweh lives, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray you, be given to your servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For your servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto Yahweh. In this thing, Yahweh pardon your servant, that when my master goes into the house of Ramon to worship there, and he leans on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Ramon, when I bow down myself in the house of Ramon, Yahweh pardon your servant in this thing.
Right. Now, I need to bring this to 2023. You have folks that have turned around and say, yeah, man, I quit my job, bro, because they be trying to get me to do so. I told them I wasn't going to hold no picture of Santa Claus, man, so I quit. What? How much you making on that job? $65,000 a year. You better go ask for it back. You better take Santa Claus with you. Put this in here. Dress him up in green, red, white. Throw some other colors on there. Take this back. Tell him I'm sorry. Have you lost your mind? That was my kid used to ask me when I was little. When they were little. Have you lost your mind? Man, are you crazy? Say right here, hold on. I'm going to end up going in here. Now, I don't believe in this stuff, but I got a job. He knew to say that to the right people. We just turn around and quit the job. Are you tripping? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little while.
Check that out. He understood. Pardon your servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. All right, I got you. I understand that's your job. I know you got to do this, but that's not what's in your heart. I got you. There's a reason why it's called a job. You ain't never heard nobody, man, I got me a pleasure. I just got, man, I got a pleasure. You got a what? What that is? That's where they pay me to do whatever the hell I want all day. What? And see if they need help. I mean, if you really love me, you would already put my name in it. Well, I'm just now finding out. Go ahead, bro.
But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of Elohim, said, Behold, my master has spared Naaman this Syrian, in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as Yahweh lives, I'll run after him and take somewhat of him.
See, this is when somebody believes that they can do the job of one of Yahweh's servants better than the servant can. I know better than he did. This man had money. He done healed this man of leprosy. We need to get this bread. This man's rich. He got all kind of stuff, man. Just get a little something. Let us go ahead and get a little something. See, this is when somebody said, you know, if it was me, I'd do it like this. That's what I hope y'all hearing. Right. See, if it was me, this is how I do it. I wouldn't do it like that. I'd do it like this. Yeah, I would have healed him. But I definitely got that Skrilla. Okay. Go ahead.
But even with the statement Gehazi makes, this Syrian, he all get very seem like he got a little disdain there for them people.
Of course he got some disdain. This man ain't no Israelite. You done heal this man. You done gave this man the blessing of Israel, and he ain't gonna even pay nothing. Come on now. We can use 2 good mules or something, you know. Come on, man. Let's get some mule power. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. It ain't like he broke. You know, that's what makes us even to have even more indignation. When we think somebody got it, yeah, think about how people operate. When somebody steal and they steal from somebody who's rich, and they say, well, you know, I mean, it ain't that bad. How was it not that bad? Because, I mean, he got it. Oh, so he had it so you could steal. Oh, see how that works. See, we are less angry when somebody rich is robbed. We get more angry if the person was poor. So thereby we are setting in our head that it's okay to rob a rich man. Go ahead.
So Gehazi followed after Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master has sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray you, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents.
What don't make it rain? You don't need but one. Hey, go on get that thing, man. Go ahead.
And he urged him, and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house. And he let the men go, and they departed. But when he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence cometh you, Gehazi?
Yeah, where you come from?
And
It was a rhetorical question. Go ahead.
And he said, Your servant went nowhere.
All right, so whatever he felt has caused him to not only go and lie to those people, but now he lying to the man of Elohim. But maybe he been around him so long, now he just seemed like a regular man to him. Now it doesn't really appear that he has to operate any kind of certain, a certain way. That he can just tell these lies, he can do whatever that is because he feels some type of way. Go ahead.
And he said unto him, Went not my heart with you when the man turned again from his chariot to meet you? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants?
And look, we don't know what Gehazi, he said, is it a time to receive? Maybe Gehazi in his life lost a vineyard or a piece of property. And now he feels some type of way that this was his opportunity to get it back. Go ahead.
The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto you and unto your seed forever.
I'm sorry, how long?
Forever.
So at this point, we have, it said leprous as snow. So there's a whole family and lineage of extremely Israelites. That deep, bro. That deep, bro. So how you know if you're not standing in front of an Israelite? You think he got a list, but he don't have no list. He telling you exactly what he is. Go ahead.
And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow.
As white as snow. All right. Let's go to Song of Solomon. So as we see that some things can come upon, us, then there's some things that can be placed upon us based upon our attitude towards certain things. Song of Solomon and chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
The Song of Songs, which is slow-mos. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine.
All right. Now, I need to read to you the subheading. It's the bride and the bridegroom in joyful communion. All right. Now, just keep that there because we're going to get a little deeper than that. Go ahead.
Because of the Savior of your good ointments, your name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love you. Draw me. We'll run after you. The king has brought me into his chambers. We'll be glad and rejoice in you. We'll remember your love more than wine. The upright love you.
All right. Draw me. We will run after you, the king. Have brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in you. We will remember your love more than wine. The upright love you. Go ahead.
I am black, but comely.
I'm black but beautiful. Sound like one of them hair care products. Is that dark and lovely? Is this where we get dark and lovely, bro? Go ahead.
O you daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of slow-mo. Look not upon me, because I am black.
Now hold on. Look not upon me because I am darker. I am blacker. Now how does she get blacker? Go ahead.
Because the sun has looked upon me.
Okay.
My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyards. But mine own vineyard have I not kept.
Now, we're going to have to come back to verse 5 and 6 or the understanding of it a little bit later. Go ahead.
Tell me, O you whom my soul loves, wherefore you feedeth, where you maketh your flock to rest at noon. For why should I be as one that turneth aside by the flocks of your companions?
Now, she says, I am black, but comely. I am black, but beautiful. Now, I want to go to the next graphic because we have oftentimes heard this term, and especially the Mormons was the last ones to get rid of it. It was that we as a people were cursed black. And it's a very interesting statement because I need you to back in your memory. First of all, what we just read, this woman says that I got blacker by being in the sun. Okay. Now, the previous statements that we have read, Numbers 12, 2 Chronicles 26, 2 Kings 5. These individuals were cursed white.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never read cursed black. I ain't never read it nowhere. But we just read 3 cursed white. Now I'm just reading this. I didn't write it. But this concept of us being cursed black has carried on and been passed on from teaching to teaching, from church to church. And the Mormons weren't the only one that had it. They were just the last ones to let it go. The rest of them had it too. So we said, I hadn't read that God was so angry that he cursed them black. I read a sister said that she got black by being in the sun. And then I read on the other hand, when Yahweh was angry with people, he cursed them white. Now, why was that a curse? Because it was completely opposite of their design.
Mm-hmm.
They were not designed that way. Now, if it was their design, it couldn't have been a curse. So then now that brings about another question. Well, then if they were cursed white, what was the original design for them? Because you can't curse me into what I already am. You can't curse me and tell me I curse you black. Boss, I got a question. I was kind of already black, so I don't really know where the curse comes in at. So we have to then deal with some things. So now let's go to Exodus chapter 4. Exodus chapter 4. All right, Micaiah, turn that down. I see shivering over there. Exodus chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
And Moshe answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, Yahweh has not appeared unto you.
So Yahweh then gives him this miracle, if you will, so that he can show that he has sent Moshe. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto him, What is that in your hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moshe fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Put forth your hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
You got to have faith to do that, because anybody know you grab a snake, you better grab it by the head. Yahweh turns around. Yahweh will ask you to do something, and everybody around you say, that's the dumbest thing ever. You know you're going to die, right? You sure God told you? Did you ask this God what his name was? Because I'm telling you that God might be Satan. You might not want to do that. This is just not intelligent. It is not intelligent to grab a snake by the tail. Nothing about that instruction sounds like it ought to be kept. Now go ahead and grab it. Now, first of all, you had a stick, and the stick turned to a snake, and he took off running. Now I already showed you he's scared. All right, it surprised him, it scared him, all of that. Then he says, "Now go grab it by the tail." To some of us, that would have been our last day as a prophet. You know what I'm saying? It was like, was you a prophet? Yeah, man, it was about 14 days. About 14. Day 15, he said, grab the snake by the tail. I was out. I didn't have that kind of dedication. I wouldn't commit it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't on that level, is what I'm saying. If he would ask me to do some other things, I would have done it. But, that grabbed the snake. Because obviously, it's going to wrap around you. It's going to, oh my God. By the time you get the head, he done bit you 4 times. All right? Go ahead.
That they may believe that Yahweh, Elohim of their fathers, the El of Abraham, the El of Esaac, and the El of Jacob, hath appeared unto you. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now your hand into your bosom.
Now, even before you get to this, the other people being husbandmen, they're farmers. You're going to encounter snakes, you're going to encounter rats, you're going to encounter all these things in the field. Even though that was very difficult, what Yahweh asked him to do, grab it by the tail, you do understand that they noticed that too, right? See, some things ain't about you. All of these people who encounter snakes all the time in their field, they're going to notice. Y'all notice he picked the thing up by the tail? There's not one of them who not going to notice that. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
All right, now pay attention to this. What's happening right now? He says, put your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous, white as snow. Go ahead.
And he said, put your hand into your bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
Now it was turned again as his other flesh. What did we just witness at that point? You have to deal with this as it pertains to Israel. There's a whole lot of prophecy going on, even in regular things, when Yahweh is directing the children of Israel. The miracle that Yahweh displayed with Moshe was more than just a miracle for show. Yahweh Elohim was displaying the very future of the children of Israel. How the land of Israel will begin as dark, turn white, go back into his bosom again, and turn back black as she was before. Let's go to Joel chapter 2. See, Yahweh be teaching, you just don't be listening. He been teaching. Yahweh is the daddy that you on there getting ready to take out the trash, and Yahweh is teaching you at the trash can. Now you see, son, you see that little piece of plastic? Daddy, I'm just trying to take the trash out. Daddy, my game is still on pause. I'm not really dedicated to this. I would like it if you stopped teaching me at the trash can. Shut up, son. I'm trying to show you something. Oh, he that kind of daddy. You didn't know he was teaching. Matter of fact, it wasn't that you didn't know he was teaching. You didn't know that he was teaching something of value. This just sound like he's displaying something. He just told you exactly what was happening with Israel and what they were going to encounter with the hand going back in close to his bosom, and it returned back to what it was before. Okay. All right. Now we're going to examine that. Go ahead, brother. What you got?
That's the one miracle Charlton Heston didn't do, right?
Of course. You can't get white and then whiter. That was going. They hadn't had those kind of effects game up yet. See, now they'll do it today because they'll make it do something. They didn't have the kind of special effects to be able to pull that lie off during that time. Okay, so then we look at how this has affected us, how Israel has, the desire to even become this shade lighter. It is the effects of colonialism that our people have suffered over and over again, trying to be something that we are not. But that's also part of his punishment. You know what? You're going to love your lovers, but they're not going to love you. You're going to do all these things to change yourself, and they're still not going to respect you. You're going to do all of this, and the whole time you doing that, they going to wish they was you. But you're going to be so blind that you're going to be trying to be them. Joel chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 18.
Then will Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, Behold, I'll send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith. And I'll no more make you a reproach among the heathen. But I'll remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, you beast of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, you children of Zion, and rejoice of Yahweh your Elohim, for he has given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain and the latter rain in the first month.
All of these things help sustain your growth. See, if it get too cold after you done planted something, you're killing your crop. You got to have the rain at certain times to sustain yourself. Go ahead.
And the floors shall be full of wheat, and the fat shall overflow with wine and oil. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten.
Right. All the years that those empires that have ruled over us, that have made merchandise of us, Yahweh said, I'm going to give you all that stuff back. Go ahead.
The cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. And you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahweh your El, that has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your El, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come to pass afterward that I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I'll show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and the terrible day of Yahweh come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as Yahweh had said, and in the remnant whom Yahweh shall call.
All right.
Verse 1. Chapter 3 and verse 1.
Chapter 3 and verse 1.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Yehuda and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast
They have done this and parted my land. Understand, what we know as Israel was divided among Gentiles after their wars. They have divided his land. The very ones who acting like that they are a help, they're the ones who started the whole conflict. Go ahead.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
Now we have to then keep that into the whole thought process of the Song of Solomon, and then we're going to come back to that. Go ahead.
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried it into your temples, my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Yehuda and the children of Jerusalem have you sold on to the Greeks, that you might remove them far from their border.
Right? So then we have the explanation of how Israel got scattered among the nations. Other people they can't present that. What other people are trying to present is saying that, we were slaves in Egypt. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I'm in the middle of the book and they talking about a captivity. You got to be able to offer me something other than Egypt. Is all you got? You got to be able to offer me something. We're in the middle of the book. Egypt in the front of the book. We didn't pass that one. We're in the middle of the book. And he's talking about restoring these people from their last captivity. And all you can give me is Egypt? Go ahead.
Behold, I'll raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I'll sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Yehuda, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for Yahweh hath spoken it. Proclaim you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause your mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahweh also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but Yahweh will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall you know that I am Yahweh your El, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy.
I'm sorry. Then shall Jerusalem be holy. I get so sick of hearing people talking about how they going to the Holy Land. You standing in the Holy Land. He said, then it's going to be holy. So yeah, I know the address. I know where it's at. But it ain't holy because I took my spirit from it. Go ahead.
And there shall no strangers pass through her anymore.
Now, he has this thing. No stranger. Yahweh is building up to a point of strangers have been in his land for quite some time. He keeps going through this thing that strangers shall no more pass through. Wait a minute. These people said they call everybody infiltrators, so ain't no strangers coming through the land. They done built blockades all around everywhere, right? But what if Yahweh say, no, those are the strangers. not the people that they blocking out. The strangers already in it. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Yehuda shall flow with waters, and a fountain shall come forth out of the house of Yahweh, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Yehuda, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Yehuda shall dwell forever in Jerusalem from generation to generation, for I'll cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwells in Zion.
All right. Now, I before we go, I need to read something else. We're gonna back up. In the Song of Solomon, I want you to go back there for a second, because we need to get a little understanding on something. And I want you to start at verse 5. We're going to read verse 5 and 6. Song of Solomon, chapter 1.
Verse 5. I am black, but comely. O you daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Slomo.
Now, my biggest part here that kind of, hit me like a brick is we always look at this as one woman speaking to one man. But this is the king, and he stands in the presence of Yahweh. This is not one woman. This is the children of Israel. That woman is Israel. Keep reading.
Brother, he talks about the tents of Kedar. The brother out of Texas, when he came and got baptized, was in the military.
Right.
A Gentile. And he said, that's one of the reasons why I believe this word. He said, when I was over in Kedar, stationed over there, and he said, man, them tents are all black. So for those of us who've never been there and people who've seen it,
Right.
It's black.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Look not upon me because I'm black, because the sun has looked upon me.
All right. So then we see where it says the sun has looked upon me. Keep reading.
My mother's children were angry with me.
Uh-huh.
They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but mine own vineyard have I not kept.
Okay. Now, who is made to work and keep other things, but not even take care of their own? Oh, okay. These slaves.
Slaves.
Okay. All right. Now, it says, my mother's sons. Now, when Joseph was sold, it was the work of the sons of his mother, the nation of Israel. When the sons of Israel were sold into the hands of the Gentiles, it was orchestrated by the sons of Mother Africa. Our servitude caused us to labor in the sun more than others. The sun caused us to become black, but we are comely. We are black, but we never lost our beauty. Understand what's happening there. This passage about the Song of Solomon is not about one woman. This is about the bride. The bride is Israel. All of them are black. Right. Now let's go to 2 Kings chapter 17. Yahweh give you something when he wants you to have it, not when you want it. So it ain't no situation where you say, you know what, man, that brother deep. That brother got so deep, man, that brother deep. That brother just, man, that brother going in, boy, he meditating. Nah, bro. No, don't get it twisted. Yahweh give you something when he want to give it to you. Matter of fact, if the wrong people around, Yahweh won't give it to you because he don't want to give it to them people. Sometimes we got to get rid of some people so they got to hear it at the house. They can't hear it with us. Because even though they're gone, they're still here. One of the people just drive by the ex-girlfriend house every day. So he drive a little Chevy. That ain't that. Right. Right. 2 Kings chapter 17. Let's start at verse 7.
For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against Yahweh their El, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yahweh their El. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchmen to the fenced city.
Now, this is why dealing with Yahweh can be confusing, because the very thing that he will allow imposters to come in his land and do, he will not allow his children to be in his land and do. He holds you to a higher standard. This is how I know when they can sit in the land and still worship and do what they want, I know that they can't be the children of Israel, because he does not allow us to do that. Go ahead.
And they set them up images in groves in every high hill and under every green tree. And there they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom Yahweh carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke Yahweh to anger. For they served idols, whereof Yahweh had said unto them, you shall not do this thing. Yet Yahweh testified against Israel and against Yehudah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn you from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like to the neck of their fathers that did not believe in Yahweh their El. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them, and they followed vanity, and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahweh had charged them that they should not do like them.
Now remember, we had a king in Israel, and once he got to a certain part of his vanity, and he got in an area where he should not have gone, he was made leprous as white as snow. So here's Israel's vanity at this point. Okay, keep reading.
And they left all the commandments of Yahweh their El, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served Baal.
Now we think our stuff don't stink. We got the land, we in possession of everything. Now we do what we want. He done made promises with us. He can't kick us out of here. We already in here. Okay. Now we think we somebody. Go ahead.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire.
It just keeps getting worse and worse. Now we use the great things that we've done as a reason for us to do foul. Go ahead.
And they used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. Therefore Yahweh was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Yehudah only.
Okay.
Also Yehudah kept not the commandments of Yahweh their El, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made. And Yahweh rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight.
He tells you over and over how he punishes Israel. He punishes Israel by captivity. He punishes Israel by removing us out of his land and making us serve somebody else in theirs. He does the same things over and over. So it was real easy for the nations to figure out who the true children of Israel were. Go ahead.
For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Yahweh, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did, they departed not from them, until Yahweh removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof.
Wait a minute. So you then have the vanity, the same thing that happened to the king before he was hit with leprosy. Now you have the vanity of Israel in their land, and now the land is changing colors. What happened? The land just got hit with leprosy. And the king of Assyria brought in men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. The garment is changing colors. The leprosy is hitting it. The land has leprosy. Go ahead.
And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there, that they feared not Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh sent lions among them, which slew some of them. Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, The nations which you have removed, and placed in the cities of Samaria, know not the manner of the El of the land. Therefore he has sent lions among them, and, behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the El of the land. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, Carry thither one of the priests whom you brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let them teach them the manner of the El of the land.
You can't get no more disrespectful than that. That Yahweh pulls you out of the land and then make you go back and teach them how to operate in your land. So he take your house and tell you,
Take this remote and then show them how to use your TV.
what?
Show them that nice surround sound I gave you. You know the kind with the detachable speakers. You know what I'm saying? How you can pull the speakers off the bar and just put them right there behind you so you can hear the sound all the way around. Show them how to use that thing I gave you. Yeah, show them how to use that, you remember I gave you that dishwasher? Yeah, show them how to use that dishwasher. Okay.
You can't get no more disrespect than that. But he said, all right, but you're going to learn how to respect me. You're going to learn. So I'm going to make you show them how to operate in your house. And after a while, they're going to operate so well in your house, they're going to believe you. You go over to your house, they're going to have them open the door.
How you doing? My name is Esaac Israel.
No, the hell you ain't. I'm Esaac Israel. You just stand in my house. Oh, you've been gone too long. I've been receiving your mail. I've been answering it like I was you. Matter of fact, I feel so good about being you, I don't want to be me no more. like you better. But it's a self-inflicted wound. You did this to you. Right. Sometimes you have something so long you don't understand the value of it. See, this was what happen when people in relationships and they talking about, the person that they're in relationship with. They such and such and such and such. I tell them, sister, watch who you talking to about your relationship. Such and such and such and such, and he had these stinking socks. And you talking to a sister, and she like, oh, I love stinking socks. Can you bring one of them with you next week? Yeah, you're going to stop it then. You're going to stop it then. Go ahead, bro.
Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how they should fear Yahweh. Howbeit every nation made gods of their own and put them in the house of the high places which the Samaritans had made, every nation in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Succoth-Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima.
All the things that he would not allow us to do in the land, he has allowed for them to do and keep prospering. Let's go to Hosea. Hosea. Go ahead. No, don't.
As we're going there, no, in verse 23, it says, so was Israel carried away out of their own land. But we hear that we've always been in the land.
Right, right.
That's the lie,
what
right?
verse you at?
Verse 23. The end of verse 23.
Go down to 28. Keep reading that 23.
Oh, no, we read.
Okay.
But then again, so Israel's removed from the land, all of them, and they brought one priest back.
Right. One priest back. And we don't know how long he stayed. He just had to come back to show them how to use the remotes. He just had, once he showed, once they realize how to use the remote, it's over. It's over. All right, you can go back now. No, there's another remote. I need to show you the. I need to show you. What about the TV downstairs? You don't know how to use that one. You don't know how to use that one. Let me show you how to use that one. Well, how long can that take? At least 4 years. At least 4 years. It's a large menu. Hey. I can see him dragging that job out, Jack. Dragging that job out. I'm going to stay here as long as I possibly can.
Where are we going, Hosea?
Chapter 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
9:25.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Hosea chapter 7 and verse 1. When I would have healed Israel, then the lawlessness of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, where they commit falsehood, and the thief comes in, and the troop of robbers spoils without. And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face.
Their own doings. He said, this is a self-inflicted wound. Go ahead.
They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker, who cease from rising after he has kneaded the dough until it be leavened.
Right. But you see the things that we spend our time on? We spend our time on trying to learn this, trying to learn that. All of these things that got us that's got us kicked out of the land, that ain't something you need to study to do. If you need to study to not commit adultery, you got another problem. You need to study for that. You might need to keep reading it. You don't need to study. You need to read it so much that it comes natural. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You need to learn. That ain't my house. That ain't my house. There's something nice over at 2817, but that's not where I live. Go ahead.
In the day of our king, the princes have made them sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners. For they have made ready their heart like an oven. Whilst they lie in wait, their baker sleeps all the night. In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There's none among them that calls on to me. Ephraim, he has mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
If he's mixed himself with the people, he is a cake not turned. A cake not turned is only cooked on one side. Once again, now you have the changing of the land of Israel. Now it says that he has mixed himself with strangers. He's devouring. What happened? Every time he's doing that, he's dividing his inheritance. See, when we were given a law about we must stay in our own tribe, understand that property, even though it may have been going, okay, this woman get with this man and they have kids, that the property still went to kids in that tribe. When we then begin to mixing ourselves, we think it's about color and it's about this. Understand what's happening. The property is now leaving Israel. He has mixed himself. Strangers devour his strength in his presence, and he know it not. Your inheritance keep leaving, and it keeps parting ways. Before you know it, all of this stuff has been divided. Why? Because you went after everything that you saw. At some point, we have to realize, wait a minute, it's not just about me. This is about the nation. We either nation building or we nation tearing. And it ain't but so much you can do if you keep dividing things without adding things. A simple bank account help you figure that out. You can't keep spending if ain't no deposits. Sooner or later, you get that girl at the register and she look at you. This didn't go through. And then, oh boy, this is when the register girl gets power. Oh my goodness, that girl might have been nice and well, boy, but when she loves to see that when it make that sound. What? You got another card. Why your lip gotta be tight though when you say that? Why your lip gotta be tight? You ain't have to tighten up your lips to say that. You ain't have to do that. You ain't have to do that. I'm working on something. Hold on. I got I'm going through some things. Don't look at me like that. You know what I'm saying? Loosen up your lip. Go ahead, bro.
Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knows it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knows it not. And the pride of Israel testifies to his face, and they do not return to Yahweh their El, nor seek him for all this. Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart. They call to Egypt, they go to Assyria.
They're going everywhere else to seek help for their issues instead of Yahweh. Go ahead.
When they shall go, I'll spread my net upon them. I'll bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I'll chastise them as their congregation has heard. Woe unto them, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me. And they have not cried unto me with their heart. When they howled upon their beds, they assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. Though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me.
Check that out. And we won't see or say that we imagine mischief against Yahweh. What we'll do is we'll put that on the people who he has called upon, and then we'll place that upon them. And Yahweh said, no, it's me that you have a problem with, not him. It's really me you have a problem with. Go ahead.
They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
Now, understand when it starts talking about Ephraim has mixed himself, brother, I want you to read the note for the next graphic. Read that that's in Ezra chapter 2.
Ezra chapter 2 and verse 61. And of the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Kaz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite.
All right, so they took a wife of this man. Go ahead.
and was called after their name.
And was called after the name of the wife.
There, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Now, what was that for? So that once that name changes, they can be presented as being Israel. You have to understand that there's no such thing as I'm Jewish through my mother. There's a whole concept here that just does not exist. They check in the lineage and say, "Hold on, man, we can't find no father in your family tree. You're not Israel." So there's a whole concept. I've watched artists. I've watched all of these. Yeah, I'm Jewish through my mother. No, you're not. Ain't no such thing. There's no such animal. The man brings forth the seed. But when you let that leprosy come into your land, things starts changing. See, now the garment is changing now. The garment is no longer what it was. It has now changed the purpose from what it was designed for. Let's go to Song of Solomon chapter 3.
Brother, in that same token of all these artists talking about I'm Jewish through my mother, you'll find that they disrespecting the real Jew heritage that came on to something else.
Exactly. Sitting there with a black daddy talking about their mama. Check that out. Sitting there with a real Jew daddy talking about I'm Jewish through my mother. Boy, you don't get out of here. But we make our decisions based on the things that we see in society. So these are the things that we're gonna lend to. We wanna see when we have been through some places. We'll brag about where we done been, even if it wasn't all that. We'll brag if they got a name. Yeah, man, I used to be at such and such. Yeah, I used to hang around. I used to go to World Changes. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do it. Brother Ben went to jail. He won't say it. Yeah, man. I did time down there, right down on McDonald Street down there. What? We got a real thing about where we'll mention where we been. See, that's that game we play. Song of Solomon chapter 3. So that way we can act like we picked certain things up in those other places. Song of Solomon chapter 3, we're going to read verses 6 to 11.
Who is this that comes out of the wilderness like pillars of smoke, perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all powders of the merchant? Behold his bed, which is Shlomo's. 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. They all hold swords, being expert in war. Every man has his sword upon his thigh because of fear in the night. King Shlomo made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon. He made the pillars thereof of silver, the bottom thereof of gold, the covering of it of purple, the midst thereof being paved with love for the daughters of Jerusalem. Go forth, O you daughters of Zion, and behold King Shlomo with the crown wherewith his mother crowned him in the day of his espousal, and in the day of the gladness of his heart.
Now, it is amazing that we would read, and it's not us. We were given a certain understandings. And it was not in other people's best interest to give us the understanding that Shlomo was not dealing with just one woman in this Song of Solomon. I mean, if we know anything about Shlomo, he ain't never dealt with just one woman. He don't really know how to deal with just one woman. All right. So we don't understand. This is about the whole nation of Israel. This is about the lamb's wife. It was not in their best interest to let us know that little black girl was the nation of Israel. It was not in their best interest to tell us that. Matter of fact, I've listened to people who so-called have PhDs in divinity and they changed black to tan. You can go find it on their website right now. They title of their name begin with doctor. And I watched doctor changed black to tan. And when they put the camera in the crowd, the people didn't even believe it. They were... Gentiles knew he was lying. Right. But you know, when we want to hear a lie, you know, we really don't argue about that lie that we want to hear. Because I mean, that way, you know, hey, when your team receives a bad call, you don't go and stop the game.
Ref, now come on now. My man did not make that touchdown. Come on, ref. That was a bad call. Now let's just be fair. Give him the ball back and take the 7 points away.
Tell me when you seen that. Tell me when you seen that. We in the end zone dancing. We know we didn't make that score. We know that wasn't right. We going to town. We know that wasn't no catch. We know that ball hit the ground. But we not finna stop this dancing, man. Right, right. Isaiah 35. Let's read verses 1 through 10.
Verse 1. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
Same thing slow-mo we're talking about. What are you talking about? Wait a minute, man. The wilderness, what are you talking about? No. He's going in. We kind of forget. We connect slow-mo to all the mistakes. We kind of forget that he was called a preacher. We kind of forget those things because some other things that he has done has overshadowed that. Keep reading.
It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen you the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your El will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you.
Right. What people don't understand is the things that they're watching is just the beginning setup of Yahweh's strange act. He getting them all interested. When you watch a fight, they tell you the fight gonna be on the 17th, bro. They start 2 months early, hyping up the fight. Matter of fact, they even let they put them on stage together so they can argue. This sells more tickets. See, what you watching is Yahweh's. This is his promotion team. All right, now get everybody. I need some commercials. Tell them this is the rumble in the jumble. We about to have another. It's about to go down here. Now you just send out invitations to all the people on earth. Invite them to this fight. Now the fight that they coming to ain't the fight that they think they coming to, but invite them to the fight. All right, they'll find that out when they get there. Make sure they buy those tickets, though. Go ahead.
Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
This is one of the things that I tell people when they say, I'm just going to go to such and such place. Well, you know the problem with that? You miss sanctification, and you also miss the pouring out of that blessing.
And you say, you know what, I'm already be in the land waiting on y'all.
All right. But we going to come there jumping 10 feet high, though. See? When you see a regular brother dunking, it's too late.
Hey, man, I want to be able to do that.
No, but you was already here. I'm sorry. My bad. You missed the blessing train. You missed it. I'm sorry. He was passing that out along the way. But you was already there. Right. Go ahead.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each shall lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there.
The redeemed shall walk. Redemption is something. That means these people were pulled from something. These are people who have gone through some things. Our problem is we want to get to the ending place without going through the trial of redemption. We just want to get to the end. Go ahead.
And the ransomed of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Right. Why y'all think we sing these songs? Yahweh know what he's doing. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21. That's why they said, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Nobody else go through hell and still be singing. Nobody else go through. Nobody else in the world do that. We out there busting rocks. Sing. We even sing about what we doing. Busting these rocks. I said, busting these rocks. Now we gonna ad lib, but brother in the back. Nobody else do that. Nobody else do that. Right. Revelation chapter 21, and let's start at verse 9.
And
I'm gonna catch somebody in the hall. Right. Revelation 21, and start at verse 9, bro.
And there came on to me on one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. You thought that was one little girl Slow-Mo was talking about. It wasn't in their best interest to let you know that even when they talk about Shunem, the Shunammite girl, that's place in Judah. Understand, he's talking about Israel as a nation. He ain't talking about one little girl. The Lamb's wife ain't one person. It is a nation. Go ahead.
And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
All right, now we're getting a little clearer who this wife is. Getting a little clearer. This wife ain't one person. This is the nation he's marrying. Remember, he said, I'm married unto you. Your walls are graven upon my hands. It's continually before me. Go ahead.
On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
Look at that. Go ahead.
And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lies 80, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel.
All right. Did you finish that, brother?
Yep,
All right. Well, let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 61. Isaiah chapter 61, and we're going to read verses 1 through 11.
Verse 1. The spirit of the Adonai is upon me, because Yahweh has anointed me to preach good tidings on to the meat. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives.
What captives? Go ahead.
And the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
If they open the prison, who coming out? Go ahead.
To proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of the vengeance of our Elohim.
Wait a minute. If the prison doors are opening and then that's the vengeance of Yahweh, wait a minute now. Somebody been lying to us. Go ahead.
To comfort all that mourn. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. And they shall build the old waste, they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. And strangers shall stand and feed your flock.
Why? You're not going to serve anymore. You done already been made to serve. It is amazing that the very individuals who have built the country, that people will turn around and say, oh yeah, you know, them black folk lazy. We might be a lot of things. But that ain't it. We built this place. He always said, don't worry. Your labor is not in vain. Just like you built the place for somebody else and could never really get ownership in it, I'm going to have somebody build your place and they will never have ownership in it. Go ahead.
And the sons of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers.
Yeah, I think you missed a grape right there. Yeah, that's a grape. Is that grape? That's a big old grape. Go ahead and pick that. All right, now bring it here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
But you shall be named the priests of Yahweh. Men shall call you the ministers of Elohim. You shall eat the riches of the Gentiles, and in their glory shall you boast yourselves.
Wait a minute. If this happens to the children of Israel at the vengeance of Yahweh, then that means that the children of Israel are receiving from those Gentiles. Wait a minute. That means they not ruling together. We got some problems happening. Something is not going according to as it's written. Then I must conclude that the leprosy is still in the land. Go ahead.
You know, verse 6, it says, but you shall be named the priests of Yahweh.
They don't even have them there.
Israel is supposed to become a nation of priests.
Right.
And then he's got the sons of the alien providing for you. Remember, Israel's supposed to provide for the priests. So as we become a nation of priests, somebody got to provide for us.
Well, ask yourself a question though. Which tribes do they say they have in Israel?
Judah.
And the priests come out of what tribe?
Levi.
So even by their own account, they don't have none of those. And they don't believe in the Messiah. So we have a lot of problems here. But if you're just going to enter into the narrative that everybody else gives you and you go with that narrative and you don't have any understanding of what's here, then you're falling for that. We have a problem here because it does not mean, if I have a blueprint of a building and it says the wall is supposed to be here and the wall is not here, we have a problem. The blueprint says the wall is supposed to be here. Now, I can't feel some kind of way, in my feelings.
Well, you know what I'm saying? I don't like the wall right here.
Ain't about what I like the wall right here. The building plan said the wall supposed to be right here. I don't give a damn you like the wall that's over there. The wall is supposed to be right here. Now, I'm going to tell you what we're going to have to have. Before you get a sign off on this building, you're going to knock that wall down. And you're going to put that damn wall right back where it's supposed to, what these plans say they supposed to be. And that's what Yahweh can do. You're going to put that wall where it's supposed to be. And you're going to put my kid's name on the wall. Right. Go ahead.
You know, brother, before you move on, just want to put this out there. You got to now start, for those who ain't taking notes, don't take for granted that these videos are going to be up on YouTube for your access. Because daily we're getting dings where they're taking our videos down. So get used to going to our own website,
Yep.
taking your notes, keeping your notes, because there's a fight going on. Our stuff are being taken down.
And what's that website, brother? What's that website?
DUCI.org.
Shameless plug. Shameless. Go ahead, my brother. I'm sorry.
Verse 7. For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion, pardon me.
For your shame you shall have double. He gonna take care of that. And for confusion, they gonna rejoice in the portion that they have. Right. Go ahead.
Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them. For I, Yahweh, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I'll direct their work in truth, and I'll make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahweh has blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my El. For he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decks himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the earth brings forth her bud, and as the garden caused the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Adonai will cause the righteous and praise to spring forth before all the nations.
Right. He will restore Israel and show who his people truly are, and he will get himself some praise in the process of doing it. Praise Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. And that is all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.